Welcome everybody to the Savage Patriots. We're about to kick off. We don't have lead day. He had to work a little late. You know, you got to make money. You got to make
That's
that money
right.
when you got a nine
Got
to
to make
five.
bread.
Make that bread. So
Hey.
we're one short, but we've been one short before, and we made it. So here we go with this one. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to get this back to public. Public. There you go. Perfect. YouTube, Facebook should be up now. So here we go. Now, we are going to have a discussion about Miss Jennifer Granholm. Miss Jennifer Granholm is the poster child for embezzlement, is what I'm going to say. Now, but she's not an exception, because just like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of these people, they know how to invest in things that they push for and advocate for and have rules for. Okay, so let's not be too down on Miss Jennifer. Although she's the subject today, she is not just the only one that does it. So to kick off, we're going to give her some airtime to answer some questions by Mr. Josh Hawley. And we'll listen to that real quick, and then we'll have a breakdown of exactly what this means. Okay, here we go.
To clean up the school that would direct the Army Corps to clean up the school that would direct testing of the entire school district and create in the Department of Energy a fund to clean up schools that are contaminated by Manhattan era project contamination. Would you support that legislation? I would. Oh, good. I'm going to try to pass it next week, so I appreciate that. On a different subject here briefly, let me ask you about some disturbing ethics reports related to your department. This is from the Wall Street Journal. U.S. ethics officials in recent years have warned 1/3 of the Energy Department's senior officials own stock related to the agency's work. More than 130 officials in the Energy Department collectively reported about 2,700 trades of shares, bonds, and options in companies that ethics officers labeled as related to the agency's work. Do you own individual stocks, Madam Secretary?
No, I'm invested in mutual funds.
Good. So this report from CNBC last year that said that you violated stock disclosure law 9 times, that's not accurate?
I did fail to file a report in my first year that I thought was supposed to be filed at the end of the year and had to have been filed 3 months earlier. So I was late. That was
you don't own any individual stock now, so maybe you did when you first came and you converted them to mutual funds?
This was, it totally was the sale of what I had because I'm not owning individual stocks.
I understand.
Hey, okay. Just hang 1 minute before we go
Yeah.
any further. I am not a guru on investments. But if I did do any investments myself, I decided I'm going to, not like if my wife decided to do, I told her, go ahead and invest. And I trust you. That's differently than I'm the one that's saying, I don't know, but my name is on it. Like the name, I went ahead. You can't then say you don't know.
That's right.
That's okay. But then say that you sold them off. You sold them off. And then still come back and say you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know which stocks those are.
Yeah, I just kind of find that, and here's how you can tell when you're lying. If you has, well, that right there, yeah, you're searching for a way to get out of what we just asked you.
You see what happened was,
see what
Yep. She got caught.
also, yeah. So here's the difference: is like, so if those of you who don't understand stocks, right? What he's talking about individuals versus mutual funds. Mutual funds are usually managed by managers, right? So you have mutual fund managers, and they're usually the like day traders kind of guys, right? That take all these stock portfolios from multiple people, and that's their mutual fund, right? It's all these different stocks from all these different places. Individual stocks, what he's talking about, is an actual one select stock that you personally bought. So if I bought a stock in Apple or I bought it in Microsoft or whatever, that individual stock is an individual stock. If I give my money to a manager, a mutual fund, and they buy a bunch of stocks, well,
that's different.
they just bought a bunch of individual stocks. I didn't tell them what to buy. They just bought these things.
Oh yeah, that's different though.
Yeah, that's totally different.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
different, no?
Yeah. It's not the same.
I don't own individual stock either for the same reason. My question to you then is, do you think that other senior members of your department or any department in the executive branch should own individual stock? Why shouldn't we just ban that like we ought to ban it for members of Congress?
I leave it to Congress. I think it's easier when you don't own individual stocks. However, we do have disclosure rules and a very rigorous ethics agency inside of the Department of Energy.
They have
If
ethics.
somebody owns an individual stock and they work in the NNSA and that stock happens to relate to something over in the EERE and they're not involved in it at all, it's not considered an ethics violation.
What do you say about the report that 130 officials in the department collectively traded 2,700 shares of stock?
All of that has been vetted through
okay.
because they're not trading in areas where they have any influence or are touching.
But the report is
Yeah.
that these are companies, for instance, 28 Energy Department officials own stock in Exxon, 17 officials own stock in Chevron, 15 hold stock in both.
And they may not
Oh,
be
look,
doing
oil companies.
anything
No wonder.
related to fossil fuel.
What?
It may just be part of their portfolio.
Whoa.
It's just a part of their mutual fund. It's just a part of their mutual fund. No big deal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, wait. Just wait. Her reasoning is that they're not getting a direct kickback from what they've invested in.
Right. That's
In
what she's
terms
making
of-
the argument
in
to.
terms of the energy side, because they work in energy.
Mhm.
Here's your problem. If you have direct stock in Exxon, Exxon makes its money in energy.
Mhm.
Oil is energy. Okay? So gas, energy. So if you have an investment in a company that's directly over energy, you can't come back and tell me that I'm not getting a direct hit from them when the place I'm working for is the one that's funding them. What in the
They have oversight. So like it's funny. So they're saying as long as it's compartmentalized, right? As long as they're not directly involved in the company, they're allowed to have shares, even though the over-encompassing Department of Energy encompasses all of energy. But as long as they're not directly working on something that's directly under that company that they're legislating or they're overseeing, it's fine.
Okay.
That's what she's making the argument for.
So that would be considered a conflict of interest, correct?
massive, yes.
It's supposed to be.
So if it's a massive conflict of interest, say Coy and I work for this energy company, but I work on this side of the energy company, but I have stock in the side Coy works on. Coy is my friend. He's my chum. So if something is happening on this side or Coy works, but I have investments in that, do you think Coy is going to tell me what's going on over there so I can make the right investment over here?
Well, that would be insider trading, and that's a no-no.
Oh, but they're just not saying it's insider trading, right?
Right,
That's
exactly.
pretty much what they're doing. Okay.
Yeah. You can insider trade as long as it's not insider trading. You know what I mean? We're just having a conversation, man. We know the internal memos get passed around, and that's not insider trading. That just happens to be viable information that I'm getting from the Department of Energy when I have stocks in energy companies.
Wink, wink. You know,
Wink.
Right?
Okay.
No big deal.
Let her continue.
Okay.
But it doesn't involve or influence in any way our actions.
Yeah.
It doesn't
does
influence
not.
their actions?
It
Owning the
absolutely does
individual
not.
stock doesn't it? Then why did you sell yours?
Absolutely does not. Because I signed an ethics.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
You know, sometimes the most simple, direct, obvious, easy question is the one that they never are willing to answer and have no answer at all for.
Yeah. They don't.
No conflict is what you're saying. It doesn't have anything to do with it. So, and like at all, which means not even the appearance, which means you shouldn't have to sell your stock.
Yeah. So so imagine this. So imagine you're in a company, right? And you've got the overseer, the main manager that oversees all the departments, right? And you got a buddy in payroll, right? You got a buddy in payroll, but you're not in the same department. You're like in another agency, like handling paperwork, right? But you got payroll here, and he just happens to pass you information that helps you get more more money, but that's okay because we're not in the same department, right? Because
Right.
payroll and the admin department, totally different things.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disagreement with the President of the United States saying I would divest.
Well, presumably because he was rightly worried that owning these individual stocks would influence your decisions, don't you think?
Well, it's different when you're the head of a department and you have a whole agency.
Versus
When
the
you're in
regulator?
one part of an agency and
Oh.
you trade a stock
yeah,
that happens to
yeah.
be dealing with a completely other part. We have 100,000 people in the department, a very
Yeah.
vast agency.
That's a lot
And
of
they're
people.
strewn about the country. If somebody over in NNSA buys some stock over that in Exxon, it doesn't involve their particular area of influence. And that's the influence part, I think, that you're objecting to.
Well, so
But
I guess I
your
don't understand
whole
your position. Your
department-
position is you're not concerned about 130 officials in the energy department collectively trading 2,700 shares of stock, including in Chevron, Exxon, and others?
I would be
other companies?
concerned if our ethics office was concerned, but they have reviewed all of the investments and all of these disclosure agreements, and the people who are doing individual stock trading are not involved in any decision-making related to a stock
Liar.
that they purchased.
Well, I tell you what, I think I've got a solution, which is let's just ban it. Let's ban it for all executive department
should.
officials. Let's ban it
Yep.
for members of Congress. How about that?
I would not object to that.
She said she wouldn't object to that, but I it's so silly. That whole thing is so silly.
I mean, what she was saying is exactly what Coy and I was saying. She's saying she trusts her ethics committee because they do their so-called
Internal review.
investigation.
Yeah.
internal
Yeah.
review. You know, when they internally review each other within the same company, it's not really any type of review.
Yeah.
So you're telling me exactly what we said, that if somebody has stock in Exxon, but they don't work over here with whatever this company, there's no conflict of interest, even though they fall under the same department.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. It makes
Anytime
no sense.
any organization reviews itself, it's always going to come up with the same result. We did
Yes.
nothing wrong.
We did nothing
Like
wrong.
same thing with internal affairs with the police. It always comes back they did nothing wrong, right? Unless they had it was so egregious they couldn't hide it, then they had to say something, right? So it's the same point of like anytime the government investigates itself, it says we did nothing wrong. When the Pentagon does a review, they said, well, there might have been some malfeasance, something done wrong, but there wasn't anything wrong, and we're not going to fix it.
There's no there.
Yeah, there's no there.
Okay.
It's what your definition of is right?
Yeah. So she did a second round of grilling with Mr. Hawley, and this one was even more hilarious, but this was the one that we got names of things, and when we're done watching this one, we're going to crack into where you will see her statement of it not being coming back directly to her. This is how she's guising it, just so you know. I'm not getting a direct kickback from the energy place that you have told us to divest from. However, she was not telling you that when I decided to sell was very pivotal to her bank books. And this is why you'll find out later on, right? In fact, right now, the time frame of her getting elected to her selling stock is a very dear consequence. Okay, well, you'll hear that in a minute. You'll hear it.
There's one other thing I want to that I want to bring up. Remind me later after this video. Is that there's a weird coincidence of pretty much every person in Washington owning stocks in Uber, even though Uber doesn't make any money. I wanted to point that out. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, here we go. This is the fun part.
Terry, nice to see you again. When you were here last, I talked with you about the fact that more than 130 officials in the energy department reported more than 2,700 trades of shares, bonds, and options in companies that ethics officers said was directly related to the agency's work. This is institutionalized corruption. And I asked you point blank, do you own any individual stock? And you told me, no. Let's just look at it. It was not a difficult question. Do you own individual stocks, Madam Secretary? You said no. In fact, you repeated it 3 times to me. No, no, no.
Hold on. 2023. We're in 24 now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure you guys get the time frames. Listen carefully.
Turns out that was false. You did own multiple individual stocks, and you neglected to report it to this committee for months afterwards. Why did you mislead this committee?
Oh my goodness.
That was exactly my response. So why did
Senator,
you mislead this committee?
I believed that I had sold all individual stocks, and I was incorrect. So I came back.
You just don't
and
know your
told,
portfolio?
Pretty much.
It's a big one, I guess, huh?
No, it's extremely small.
Apparently not. Someone manages it for you?
So I came back as soon as I found out that, in fact, I had not sold all individuals.
Wait. No, that's not true either. Let's just look at the timeline. Let's not, I just remind you, you're under oath. Madam Secretary, you testified you didn't own any individual stocks. You didn't sell the stocks for a whole nother month. And after you sold the stocks, you waited another month before you informed this committee. Why did you mislead us, and what were you hiding? Why did you wait so long? Why did you hide this?
I did not hide it because I brought it forth to the committee when I realized that we had made a mistake.
Really? What explains the delay? Why did you wait for a full month to explain your actions to this committee, your false testimony?
That's less than a month, and I sent a letter explaining what had happened.
May the
that I made a
15th to
mistake
June the 9th. Are we
Because
going
I
to?
owned a Ford stock that was.
You misled this committee, and you wait. What were the stocks? What were the stocks that you owned?
It was a Ford stock that my husband had owned
Watch the
since he was
blinking.
very young,
Mhm.
and I just was not aware of it.
And what were the others? You sold 6 stocks. What were
Just
the other
didn't know.
5?
I sold non-conflicting stocks. I
Just non-conflicting stocks, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Then why did you sell them if they were non-conflicting?
Yeah, why'd you get rid of them? Why'd you lie?
If
they
they're
were
non-conflicting, why are you selling them?
Yeah. Why the lie? Why the deceit if they were non-conflicting?
Okay, if they're making you money, we have no problem with you making money, Miss
No.
Jennifer. They're making you money, and it's good. If they're non-conflicting, why are you selling it?
Because they're
Oh.
conflicting.
Look.
Yep.
Anyway,
I don't even know.
you don't
I
even
do know the Ford one because that was a conflict.
You don't.
That's why I
you
raised
don't.
this.
You're here before this committee a year later after actively misleading to us, after denying and delaying, and now you won't tell us. Was one of them Proterra?
No.
You sat on the board of
She said
directors
no.
of Proterra. You made millions.
Listen to what
CNN
listen to the
reports and
background.
stock
Listen to the background.
sat
real
on the
quick.
board of directors at Proterra. You made. Now you won't tell us. Was one of them Proterra?
No.
You sat on the
No.
board of directors at Proterra. You made millions. CNN reports and stock options at Proterra. Then you promoted Proterra stock and Proterra products as
Did
energy
not. Sir,
secretary. Was
sir,
that one of the
sir.
stocks that you sold?
This is so, I mean, really.
Was that one of the stocks that
Really?
you sold? Yes,
No,
really.
no,
You were
it was-
presiding over institutionalized corruption in your energy department. You
Yeah,
have
it's right
violated
there.
the Stock Act 9 separate times. You have been referred by the Inspector General for violations of the Hatch Act. It is institutionalized corruption that you are now the face of. And here's what I'm trying to figure out. I just want to know who really runs the energy department. Is it you, or is it the mega corporations whose stock that you own that you're making profits in?
Oh, my goodness.
Or maybe it's the foreign billionaires who fund your conferences.
We'll
Let's
get
try
to that.
something else. Do you know the names of the foreign billionaires who fund the conferences you go to? Since you don't know the stocks, do you know the names of the foreign billionaires?
This is unbelievable to me.
Let me help you.
Mr. Chairman.
One of them
be
is
accused like
Hans-Georg
this.
Weiss, a Swiss billionaire who has used various dark money front
I do
groups
not know what you
to
are
funnel
talking about.
various
No.
dark money front groups
course you
to
don't.
funnel foreign money into American politics.
We'll have
He
proof in a
has
minute,
used
folks. Don't worry.
The Burger Action Fund, $20 million, that then sent money to the Fund for a Better Future, that then sent money to the Climate Power Group that has funded conferences you've attended.
Okay.
Do you know who this is? Do
I
you
have
think it's a
no
good
idea
idea
who
to
that
attend
is. I have
conferences
no
funded
idea
by
what you're
foreign
talking
billionaires?
about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know the stocks, you don't know the billionaires, you would take no responsibility.
Ford stock.
Meanwhile, your energy department, executives in your energy department are trading stocks in companies that they have direct oversight over, and you were too.
That is incorrect.
It's a
Nobody
fact.
in the Department of Energy, and we have a strong ethics office,
Not
does
looking.
not trade stocks in anything that they have oversight over.
That is
People may
that is
own
simply
individual
not
stocks.
true, Madam Secretary.
Sir,
The Wall
this
Street
is-
Journal has reported on this
Senator, if I may.
extensively.
Wall Street
If I may,
Journal.
Senator, if I may just ask the question, is it possible that maybe we can continue this at a later time
No.
But if you had any questions on the direct
No.
energy policies.
Mr. Chairman, this is directly relevant to institutionalized corruption
Thank
in the
you.
Department of Energy that she oversees. You're, I think, about to say that the Wall Street Journal report's wrong.
The Wall Street Journal report did not say that people over whom they were in areas where they were directly overseeing had stocks. They did not. Our ethics office consults with all of our employees that need to be that have a reporting requirement about their stock holdings. They do not own stocks in areas that they have any influence over, nor do I.
Madam Secretary, all I have to say is this record is just deplorable. It is despicable. It is outrageous that hundreds of officers in the Energy Department are trading shares. It is
Incorrect.
outrageous that you misled
Incorrect.
us. It is outrageous
Incorrect.
that you are
That's
continuing to
incorrect.
mislead us. And it is outrageous you're going to conferences and events funded by foreign billionaires using dark money to try to influence our politics. This has got to change. And frankly, you should go.
All right.
Oof.
Okay.
Hadouken.
Hadouken. Sure. And so,
Hadouken.
all right. So let's analyze what she said. That's the first thing first. See if she's lying. Okay. Now, she said that she was never, ever, ever, never, never, ever, ever, ever,
Never
never,
once.
never, ever involved in, what was the word of that group? Proterra?
Proterra. It's an
Yeah.
EV company.
Proterra, right? Proterra. I was never with the Proterra. 199 electric buses last year out of 66,000 sold in total. It targeted a very slow growth, conservative launch market in the U.S., while its key competitors, Tata, BYD, Dongfeng, and Volvo were playing into a very rapid growth of markets. However, she was one of the lead people for Proterra before becoming the person in charge of energy. She did indeed have stocks in Proterra, and in Proterra in 2021 was going to go public. She got elected in 23. Well, she got elected in 21. She had stock in Proterra while nominated, didn't sell the stock until 2023, after it had gone public. Now, between that time frame, Proterra got money. They got big dish outs from the government. In fact, they got $10 million in COVID relief funds, and they never used it for COVID because they filed bankruptcy. So what do? You
Right.
make sure you're part of the company. You file bankruptcy to save your hide. You pocket that $10 million because now you don't have any need to use it for a COVID because you're bankrupt. You pocket that, give it back to the government, or portion of it, give it back to the government in order to get yourself back on your feet. You sell your stock. Now it's public, which means you make more money on it. But did she really sell her stock is unbeknownst to many, whether or not she actually did it, or like she said, switched it over to mutual funds. And if she did do it to mutual funds, she's still making money off of all the things that she said. She's just not doing it with inside trading. Okay. Now keep that in your front pocket, because when you hear who Proterra really is, I think that's when you're going to get a nice little, what's the best word? A nice little insight into where this is what's actually going. And when you see the connections, I think it's going to blow your mind. So here we go.
Yeah.
Y'all ready? Here we go.
Let's do it.
Proterra. The people that are funding Proterra, their financials, who actually back them. One group is called Neuberger Bergen, and the other one, BlackRock. Now, if you're not familiar with BlackRock, perhaps maybe you should get familiar with BlackRock. The other one you're probably not so familiar with, which is the Neuberger Berman. Neuberger Berman is headed by a certain individual by the name of Roy Neuberger. Now, they call him Roy Neuberger, but his actual name is Roy Rothschild Neuberger.
Is it one of those hyphenated or just middle names?
Hey, it's just the name, Roy Rothschild Neuberger.
Got it.
Y'all starting to see a little pattern happening here?
Yep.
It'll get progressively ridiculous here in a minute. Now, remember, they filed for bankruptcy, 10 million. She got a kickback. She's now worth 8 million. She entered 2, came back 8. Keep that in mind. BlackRock. When you look at BlackRock, in case, many people know plenty of things about BlackRock. You know who's attached to BlackRock? George Soros. However, there's another individual by the name of Larry Fink. Larry Fink is also
there's a
associated.
familiar name.
Thank you very much. So Larry Fink is now the head guy for who? BlackRock.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if y'all still are not sure about how this works out, there's another company that did indeed get kickbacks from the government to the tune of $1.5 billion for making sure that they got EV stuff going. And that company is a very weird one. Now, when you hear this one might be a little bit trippy to you. Okay. When we looked into the company called Holtec, keep this in mind. Holtec is a company that has been announced to attain $1.5 billion in conditional commitment to provide recommission for a nuclear plant in Michigan. And where was she the governor?
Michigan.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just saying. Okay, now here are the links. Here are the links with this particular group. Okay, and I think this is the one that's going to absolutely blow your mind. The group of Holcomb is headed by another individual. The individual in question, let me see if I can make sure I find his name here. Where is he? Okay, there he is. The head guy for this particular Holcomb is a man by the name of Chris Singh, Dr. Chris Singh. Dr. Chris Singh is part of the top boards for a council called the U.S. to Ukraine Business Council. You catching a pattern already? Okay, so they have in energy, and who else was in energy that was related to Biden? Who was that guy?
Hunter? Yeah, that guy.
Hunter.
Burisma.
Yeah, but you can't have ties with Hunter because that would actually reek of corruption. Because remember, you didn't talk to Hunter about any of your business deals. However, if you gave money to a company, Holcomb, that happens to have connections to Ukraine and their energy sector, hear me out, you pay Holcomb $1.5 billion. The head guy is working with relations with Ukraine. He takes that money, he funnels it into Ukraine. You pay Ukraine, United States government. That money gets pushed back into who? Holcomb. And you get what kind of a kickback to who? All the people who are paid into Holcomb. It's money laundering.
Yes.
On an expert level. And I mean expert level.
Well, Marlon, they're not that much of an expert because people are figuring it out. They can't hide, man. All this truth is going to come out, and all these lies about Hunter Biden not having ties and all this money and it's all going to come to light.
So,
and I'm glad it is.
Now we're going to run down a couple of sources here, okay? The Ukraine U.S. Business Council members. I'm going to name a few, okay? And I'm going to name it and then give you what they do, okay? Now listen carefully. I'm just going to pick random ones out of this list, randomly. AGR, Advanced Global Resources, has a deep knowledge base in functional business and technology performance for multiple levels of global aerospace and defense contractors. War Machine. Anyway, company experience includes system sustainment, new production, major modification, and system modernization of some of the most advanced commercial and military systems ever engineered. AMS Group, providing innovative technologies and equipment for a full range of integrated logistics support services to U.S. and international customers in the defense and security markets. It's kind of weird that all these military groups are joining in the U.S.-Ukraine membership kind of. Boeing.
What would we call all those military groups? What do we call them? The military
industrial something.
Industrial complex.
Industrial complex.
The military industrial complex.
That's it. You ready for this one? Control Risks. It's called, that's the name of the group. Global risk and strategic consulting firm specializing in political, security, and integrity risk. Keep that in mind. Now, here's another good one. Denton's, one of the largest global law firms in the world. Let's find another one here. Let's get a good. Oh, General Atomics. I'm going to have you take a guess what that could possibly mean. Global Tech LLC, a woman-owned small business that provides stamped and fabricated products, prototypes, tools, gauges, and designs, as well as a worldwide program management and procurement. And mind you, that's 100, and so far we have, let me see, there are 226 groups that are attached to this. Zeppelin is another one. Westinghouse is another one. USKO Logistics, transportation. U.S.-Ukraine activists. U.S.-based and volunteer-run a 501(c) nonprofit charitable organization dedicated to supporting Ukraine and its culture and providing targeted assistance to those who need it most by organizing fundraisers and fundraising cultural events.
Right.
Now, hear me out. If you want to try and keep Ukraine running corrupt as it is, but you don't have the avenue that you did before with your son because you could hide behind the vice presidency. When you become president, you now definitely can't, but you still want to maintain what you've been doing while you were vice president. How do you do it? Well, you make sure you sever the tie for your son. He's no longer in the picture. But you hire somebody who still has ties to all the energy sectors that your son participated in. You hire her. She gets to keep. Now, don't tell me you didn't know. Don't tell me you didn't know, because when she was brought on, they still had both House and Senate. Democrats, just remember that. So remember this. So when they came in, you come in, you get to keep that until the thing goes public. It goes public. You don't sell it. You sell it later after we have had time, and now the Republicans are asking questions. Sell it. Now you've sold it, but you sold it to a profit. But that was your payback for doing what you're going to do later, which is invest in people that will be able to send the money back to the United States through the means of multiple shell corporations. This is money laundering, which is why Josh was grilling her so hard. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
This is what.
So I wanted to bring this up. This is Capital Trades. This is the most popular stocks by politicians. And how many are invested in it currently? Guess who's number one? It's Apple.
And she
43 politicians.
She had stocks in Apple.
Yeah. With a volume of $15.2 million worth of shares. Between 43 politicians, by the way.
Yeah. So I bet you
And
all those companies you name, Marlon, they're all pro-Ukraine war, right?
Yeah, every single one of these.
So they are probably very pro-Ukraine. They support all these protests. They support all this stuff that is pro-Ukraine. And now it's coming back. The reason they're doing it is why?
Chevron.
They get kickbacks. They get all the money that they get portions of the money that we're sending over to Ukraine. They know they're going to get that in return. So they're going to obviously support what's going on over there.
Comcast is in here too.
Yeah.
But it's just funny when you see the amount of volumes of trades that they're doing in the millions, right? And people are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal because they're doing like 1,000 here, 1,000 there. But that adds up over time. There's a reason why they're putting money in these stocks. And all of these stocks are being individually monitored and legislated by committees, especially these top 4 right here, are heavily influencing what's happening in the committees right now, especially when it comes to TikTok, for instance. And so you're telling me that these guys aren't having an influence, but all the stocks and trades that are happening in the DOE aren't influencing any decisions either.
None at all. No.
None at all. None at all. Even though, like I said, Chevron's in there too. Like it's right here with 24 politicians that are overseeing $4.6 million in shares. You don't think that has an influence on where they decide to put certain legislation? Maybe
that's
just a
different.
tiny bit.
That's
That's different.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
The fact is that she did indeed have stock in Apple. She did, and that's one of the ones she sold. But mind you, Apple also dabbles in energy. In what area? Anyone know what area Apple dabbles
Electric.
in? Apple dabbles in.
EV.
Thank you. And also
Mhm.
lithium what? Batteries, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So if
I look,
you
Pfizer's on there too with 21.
yes, and that was what I was going to get to. Pfizer is another one of the investors, and guess who? Guess who they invest in?
Oh, look.
Who does Pfizer invest?
Proterra.
Oh yeah. We mentioned that.
Proterra.
Of course, they're all tied together, man.
Now remember, Proterra got a kickback of $10 million, right? Remember that?
Yes.
During
Yeah.
for what now? For COVID-19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who supports them? I'm just saying there's a multitude of investments that the government signed off to that a lot of these people had investment in. And if you have investment and the government gives that company money and the company thrives, who gets money back in their pocket? The same people that made sure the bill got passed.
That's right.
I would assume that any of these ones that they've invested in are probably fine.
Yeah,
probably doing
totally.
okay.
Yeah, all of
They're probably doing okay.
JP Morgan.
Yeah, that's number 5. These are the top by politicians. How many
Isn't
people
Alphabet
have invested
Google?
in them? Yes, that's Google.
That's what I thought. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean we're talking about this is the total volume of trades that Congress has currently. Just in Congress is $2.075 billion worth of assets that currently Congress holds collectively. So you want to know where these people go from making $100,000 a year, $115,000, maybe $125,000 a year, and go in mostly broke and come out millionaires? This is where it happens.
Yeah.
Right here is you invest before you go in, or when you get in, you invest, or just before you get in and you don't divulge that. And once you're in, you pass bills or bring bills to the table that are going to benefit the firm that you have an investment in. Normally, this would be called, isn't it that inside?
Oh yeah,
Insider
but
trading,
it's legal for them.
Huh.
Yeah. And here's the top amount of money.
They're allowed to do stuff like that because the rules don't apply to them. You know, they will come if Marlon Brown did something like this, they'd be knocking on your door right now.
I mean, this one I understand. Treasury bills, I get,
but
why you would have that much money in there. But they have more money in Microsoft than they do Treasury bills and Alphabet, which is only at 24 million. And they have in Microsoft $304 million.
Okay.
So like Bill Gates is doing a lot of shady stuff behind the scenes and doing all kinds of crazy things in the United States, but they have a heavily investment in Bill Gates.
Let me give you some inside trader information. I used to work for Microsoft indirectly because I helped build a data farm out here in Washington State. Now, what information I was privy to, now this is both Amazon and Microsoft, how they do it. Listen carefully. This is not me telling no lie on nobody. They have dedicated servers to certain groups. And let's just say that the groups that they have dedicated servers to, that even you need high clearance passes to get into to even work on. You don't just let any regular Joe work in these particular IDFs. In order to get into that IDF, you have to go through a very rigorous thing. But I had to be in there because they couldn't get it built without my hands. Now, the certain companies that are in there have a lot to do with pharmaceutical. They have a lot to do with technology, and they have a lot to do with government contracts. Now, people will say, well, yeah, it's
this
government
ain't TikTok.
You got to keep it separate. Yeah. Well, hear me out. You might have a government contract with Microsoft, and you have a separate and completely independent IDF server for that. However, when you actually look at what they're protecting is where you have to start really taken a gander at it. If Microsoft is the one that you're paying to house your, information, what does that make Microsoft? What now? Remember, Microsoft isn't supposed to be a government entity. Okay, I don't think it is. It's not a government entity, is it?
Who knows, man? There's so much government
But it's not
influence
supposed to
in
be.
it.
It's not part of corporate. It's not part of the governmental structure,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you are paying them to a lot, very, 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 very large, crazy thing. Now, if you are hiring Microsoft to pay, or you're paying them to house a very special server for your governmental business, there's a massive kickback happening to Microsoft, especially when you hear that Microsoft gets a bigger cut from government funding.
Yeah.
So is they funding Microsoft to house, or are they funding Microsoft to hide?
To hide. I would
Just
think.
saying. Because now, mind you, everybody in Microsoft has clearance. There's different clearance levels. I get that. But as a worker that had been there, the clearance level between Walmart and Target and Xbox and all the other people that have servers there, and you can buy servers. It's how should I, a couple levels lower compared to what the other servers that they have, and nobody really gets to say what's on it. Different level of equipment, all that stuff. My point in saying all that is this: the investment that you showed there, Coy, of why all these people have investments in Microsoft is because of what Microsoft is housing.
Yeah.
Not because of their housing, it's what they're housing. You should have, this is what I would think, the government would have its own IDF.
You think?
House your own stuff. Why would you need Microsoft? Who's over
Well,
Microsoft?
it's the same thing with Amazon services too.
That's what I was getting to. They're exactly the same thing. They have a whole independent section of their IDFs, and we built one in Oregon.
Right.
Same thing. High level clearance.
They're both number one and number two, Microsoft and Amazon.
All governmental IDFs.
They're the ones that have the contracts. Both Microsoft and Amazon are the two biggest holders of government contracts when it comes to information technology. Like, they have a chokehold on that market. There's nobody else coming in besides like Cisco and stuff, but they're just handing out phones that barely work half the time. Michael, you remember Cisco services and all their stupid stuff that they had?
Yeah, I remember.
They never worked. They never worked.
Useless technology that never worked.
Yeah, go into a meeting room and it's like nothing worked in there, and it was all Cisco plastered on everything. Nothing worked.
Okay.
Did you say how much she made from the Proterra stocks that she sold?
She did not divulge that.
It's $1.6 million when she divested from Proterra.
Here's what Forbes has on this. Okay, mind you, this is in 2021 of January. Jennifer Granholm, Joe Biden's nominee, holds more than $1 million worth of stock options in electric bus and battery makers set to go public later this year. Remember, she didn't sell until 2023. They went public in 2021. Okay. She has sat on the board of Proterra, a Silicon Valley-based electric vehicle maker, since 2017. She shows 1 million to 5 million invested stock options in the company, one of her largest individual assets, according to a financial disclosure release Monday, which enlists her income and assets in broad ranges. Proterra announced last week that it plans to go public through a merger with a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC, called ArcLight Clean Transition. The deal is expected to close in the first half of 2021. Subject to approval from ArcLight shareholders. According to the statement, the company's shares are expected to trade on the NASDAQ. Granholm plans to resign from her board seat. She said she wasn't. Lied again. She lied twice.
Yeah.
Remember, he said no, and she said no. Those were her words. And forfeit her unvested options upon her confirmation. But she still may be able to participate in Proterra's public offering depending on when the deal closes, which means it went public. She did indeed profit from it, because she didn't stop until 2023 June. Her ethics disclosure states that she will sell off her vested options as soon as it's feasible, but she has 180 days after her confirmation to do so. Okay, let me ask, how many days are in a year? Is it 180 days in a year?
And I think it's like 360.
Oh, so that would mean it would be
Yeah.
double that for 2 years, which is where she did finally sell it off. So you did indeed make a profit, and you lied to them people twice now. Okay, you lied twice. You lied to the committee twice. First you say you didn't, then you say, well, I didn't remember, but I still didn't have Proterra, which was one of your biggest ones that you did have. Appointees often have holdings that overlap with their official responsibilities when they begin their terms, but such holdings can cause concerns about conflicts of interest. I'd want to hear out. I'd want her out of options before she took office, if it's at all possible. Hold on.
It's always possible. You can just sell it. You just didn't want to.
Didn't they ask Donald Trump to do that within the first year?
Oh,
Yeah, they did. They forced him
they sure
to make sure that he had no hands in his business after he became president. But they're perfectly fine doing that in Congress.
Okay. Yeah. Richard Painter, a former White House ethics lawyer for George W. Bush, like he had any ethics, who often criticized Trump administration for his ethical issues. There may be underlying restrictions set by the company that prohibit Granholm from divesting before the company goes public. Chief ethics counselor, the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, who added Granholm will have an underlying conflict until she gets rid of the interest. Obviously, the advance and transition team and Proterra did not respond to requests.
I just want to point out, I've been going through her career too. This woman has never held an actual job.
Nope.
No, like she's been a clerk for a judge, and then worked on presidential campaigns, and then she became Michigan's attorney general, and then became governor of Michigan.
Well, yeah,
that's her career. So how did she get on a board of an EV company?
A lot of these politicians have never created anything. You know, a lot of them get these positions, they're usually failed lawyers, or, they were working for some congressman or whatever. And a lot of them get into these big positions like this, and they've never been in that type of position ever, but they're in control of it all.
That makes sense. She was a UC Berkeley
I'm looking at that right
professor.
Now. Yeah. Here's the best part. Her and her husband started teaching at the University of California, Berkeley, and she went undergrad, and they wrote a book together. Obviously, if you got to write a book. Granholm joined the boards of Dow Chemical, and Talmer Bancorp, and she became the advisor for a clean energy program with the Pew Charitable Trust. She got her own TV show on Al Gore's network and signed speaking contracts with two firms, Kepler Speakers and Harry Walker Agency. In 2019, Granholm reported earning at least $2 million, according to a financial disclosure. The filing showed diverse income stream: $160,000 for sitting on the board of Navy shipbuilder Marinette Marine Corporation, military industrial complex; $200,000 for being a talking head on CNN; $390,000 in salary from the political consulting and business speaking she started with her husband. Granholm also earned more than $170,000 in speaking fees, delivering talks to groups like the American Hospital Association, Chatham University, and APAC.
There's an interesting
$18,000 to APAC, by the way, and $10,000 to APAC in New England, and $18,000 to the Chatham University.
So here's the funny thing: she went from being governor of Michigan to being on the board or working for the Dow Chemical Company, which is a multinational corporation in Michigan.
Thank you.
Right. So she went from government services to lobby. Like we've talked about this before, where they go from government to lobby right after they get out. There's no like in between. They don't go get a regular job. They just get paid for their connections in government. That's what they do. So you went from you got a former governor to work on your with your company or for your company, right? So she went from that, and then she went on to Proterra later on after Dow and Marinette Marine Corporation in Wisconsin, which still, by the way, I still am trying to find the little narrow thread that leads to her having any experience in energy sector besides being on companies that dealt with energy. Just how Hunter Biden was in Ukraine on the board of Burisma.
All she was a Green New Deal mouthpiece. All of this leads to the Green New Deal. So they had to get someone that was a mouthpiece for the Green New Deal, clean energy, EV, and she's just another talking head for their Green New Deal. That's how she got it.
The crazier part is that none of this is going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
She's not going to get any resignation
Never
happening.
does.
She's just going to continue her post, all that. And look, I like
and then get a
Hawley.
lobby job after.
I like Hawley and all, but that's all bluster. I want y'all to
Mhm.
know that this is bringing stuff to light for us to know, but we don't get to appoint her. The administration
Nope.
does. And we
Yeah.
don't have any say over the fact that it's going to affect us because it has to do with energy and we kind of need that. We don't have any say over that unless we put the person who is in power, Biden, out of power. And that's possibly not going to happen. So in either way, all this is doing is showing people that I'm doing this and ain't nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, we used to think there were maybe 5 or 6 to maybe 8 rhinos in Congress.
That's way
What
more.
we
Hey,
found
a
out
lot.
recently with this Ukraine bill was that we have maybe 95% of them are rhinos.
Mhm.
So
Well-
in any case, it won't go any further than where it's at right now.
I showed that to you before, right? One of the biggest rhinos being like freaking Dan Crenshaw, right?
Yeah,
With him
yeah.
pushing with the TikTok ban. He's the one been the most vocal about the TikTok ban, and he holds major shares in Meta.
Yeah. And
It's
you
so
know,
crazy.
again, they play this political theater. We've talked about it on both platforms. It's all a theater. We've talked about it when it came to Hunter Biden. We talked about it when it came to Hillary. They put it all out there for the world to see. And they put on this show for us all over TV and Congress, these hearings and all this, and everybody they're tuning in, and then it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Poof. And then on to the next one. It'll be on to the next one. They keep us confused, you know. So this, like Marlon said, this is just another show. Nothing's going to happen. She's not going to get removed. She's going to keep her position and continue to make money illegally.
And it's going to continue. Coy, you wanna address retro here real quick?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Like here, let me just grab this and see if I can. Can you go ahead and post this in the chat? If you really want to know who's involved in Meta, you can go to Capital Trades and look at the Meta Incorporated, and it shows all the politicians who are involved in Meta and who's currently selling.
Here we
But
go.
there's a lot of them. There's 11 politicians according to this right now that are actively trading in the last year with them. But there's higher for buying and selling. It shows you all the trades.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Republicans that do it.
But
And a
mind
lot of
you,
them,
these are individual stocks. We're not even talking about those that have invested in BlackRock, who then also invest in all these companies additionally.
and and like Coy said earlier, a lot of them that you're going to see on this list, they're the same ones that voted to get rid of TikTok.
Yep.
So
Now watch there be some group that purchases TikTok that has some sort of a investment from all of these people that have a major kickback in the incomes that it's going to get. Now remember, if TikTok makes money, whether people like to admit it or not, TikTok is a money maker. They don't give people money, but they sure make a mega ton of money.
yeah.
So if you can acquire for your business folks, government agencies, a business that's very, very lucrative, but you can have investments in it, but I'm not making any money of it. I'm invested in something else, but that company purchases TikTok after the fact. You can't say then I need to sell my stock. No, because what I invested in was that company. That company is only making money on TikTok. I'm not making money on TikTok. I'm making money from this group. This is how the laundering happens, even though you are seeing in full force that the government agency people are the ones that are trying to push for the purchase of something that they know makes money by the company that they make money from.
Yep. So I mean, here's for example, like I said, Dan Crenshaw. These are the top, like the trades that he has right now. You know, SPN 500, Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Dextron Financial. I don't know what that one is. Meta, right here.
Meta, yeah.
And that was a couple of years ago. That was just before they started doing the push to get rid of TikTok, which was around this time, by the way.
Yeah,
is when he bought into it.
Didn't the airlines get bailed out too, by the way?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, and do I see airlines there? Southwest and
yeah, Boeing, Hertz,
Boeing?
Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. But those are sells. He got rid of those.
Yeah. When
these
did
are
he
all
get
the
rid of them?
buys.
When did he get rid of them?
That was in 2022,
Oh,
around
so
when they
after
started
got
having
their-
issues. Yeah,
After they got their money.
Yeah.
Ain't that weird? Ain't that?
It's weird, isn't it? Right? It's a little
Very weird. It's very weird. You know what I mean?
Oh my my gosh.
Dan
He
Crenshaw
ain't
is
doing too bad with
compromised.
his.
Look,
Yeah.
He's compromised.
but
He's
we're
a
the
fraud.
guys that don't know what we're talking about, and we
Yeah.
should stay in our lane. And you're just trying to, you're trying to pick a straw out for no reason, and the lady's innocent. If you don't want to use your brain, don't use your brain. Be smooth. That's on you.
Mhm.
But don't
Nice
come
and
to me
simple.
trying to make me believe that I'm a dummy when I'm seeing with my own eyes and know the history of these companies and try to tell me that don't pee in my face and tell me it's raining. You know that it has a very distinct smell, right? Especially if you get it near my mouth, it has a taste too. I won't believe it's rain unless it's Vietnamese rain. Then I might believe you, but I'm not living in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I will know that you're over me trying to convince me that I'm not getting peed on. Here's the problem with what that's going to happen. Eventually, I'm going to see you. And I may have something to make sure you never pee again. So stop. This particular stuff, and yes, it's exposure, and people are seeing it. Nothing will happen. But the benefit of you seeing it is now you can show other people, and they can change the regime in power.
Yep.
The secondary problem, is that the regime currently in power is trying to curtail the next step that you can make.
Yep.
And if they succeed in cutting off that next step, which it looks like they will, you won't have a way to combat this at all, whether with your ballot or with your voice. You won't have a single way. All you can do is just not participate. You end up being a
That's all you can
partial
do.
loser, but at least if you do it that way, you won't be a participant in the stupidity. And it's a tough call to make. But if you're really standing on truth, then you'll just say, fine, I'll bite that bullet. I'll take that loss.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all you got is your integrity, right? And that's the only thing you got left. So if these people
Integrity.
have none, they want their money. They're willing to push war to get it. They're willing to fund war to get it. Both Ukraine and Israel and Palestine and Iran, all of these people that are fighting right now, they have given money to, given weaponry to, given defense money to, and they're funding everybody on the board. And they're just sitting back and watching all the money pour in for them. They don't care about the civilian lives.
Sure don't.
All these protesters about, the Palestinian children, the Israeli children, keep protesting. See if that changes diddly squat. The same people you are asking to stand up for Palestine are funding the death of Palestinians.
Yeah.
The same
It was
people
funny
asking to
seeing
fund Israel are the same people funding the death of Palestinians. And
all the protests are falling on deaf ears. And I think we talked about this the last episode. It's falling on deaf ears. The money is talking to these people that you're trying to protest to. They can care less about you out there holding a little sign and screaming and yelling. They don't care.
Right.
And again, it didn't work for Vietnam. Didn't stop that war. And it's not going to stop this war because you're not going to mess with these people's money. The best you can do is not participate in this corrupt system anymore, which is hard. But that's one way. You got him in the pockets.
It was funny seeing all the protesters getting ripped out of UCLA, by the way. And then there's another video of a guy LARPing in a metal trash can shield, like running at the cops and gets dunked on and arrested after charging him. It's hilarious. It's like he thought he was at a LARP show and then he just ran at a cop with a trash can freaking shield.
He thought he was Oscar.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. These people thought that they were special, but they stepped on the thing that they weren't supposed to.
What do feminists, Pharisees,
and Pharisees have in common? Anytime two of them get together, they have three opinions.
That is true. But again, like all this is just it's a game to them, man. And we vote these people in, and they talk all this hoopity hoo-ha about patriotism in America, but at the end of the day, it's about dollars. Their loyalty is to money. Period. Yeah. Across the world. That's not just America. That's just about every single government across the world. They're all connected. Yeah. They're all friends. They play a show like they hate each other because money is involved. And it's just a lot of money exchanging hands because everything is a rich man's trick, like we always say. And we fall
It's always
for
the money laundering.
We always fall for it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on this one. But honestly, like I said, I don't see this going anywhere. But we're in May right now, right? We're in May.
Yeah, beginning.
Yeah, we just started May.
So we got still a few months yet to see exactly how it's gonna pan out come November. However, the biggest problem with all of this is this: if they do succeed in what they're trying to do, and I'm about 100% sure that they'll succeed because with rhinos and Democrats, it's a uniparty. It's going to work this way. But if they succeed in what they're doing, especially with Johnson being the head, now you only have a hand. Well, it was 6 or 7 of them now in the Republican Party that are actually standing up for anything.
Yeah.
And you're talking about 6 or 7. That's not a very high percentage. That's what, like 5%, maybe 6%
Maybe
of
less,
the
yeah.
Republican.
Very
So
small.
you're not talking about a very large percentage. They're not going to make a difference. They can vote no on everything till the cow comes home, and it's not going to matter. So they're kind of a lame duck situation right now. Now imagine this.
Yep.
Imagine that the Democrats win more seats coming up here in the House, and then they win more seats in the Senate. Can you imagine anything taking place if Trump gets in there? Nothing.
No.
He'll be worse off than his first year.
Yep.
There'll be absolutely the only thing he can do is the first day do what Biden did, executive orders out the wazoo.
Yep.
But even then, they're minimal change because all they have really is superficial stuff. You can't do anything meaningful, no meaningful change with an executive order. You can do something, but you can't do everything with it. You have to depend on a lot of the laws being passed by the House and then approved by the Senate. But if they are both run by the people who are opposing you, you're a lame duck. So his last president won't be mattered. It won't mean anything.
And one
Marlon, I
thing
found
he
that
could
video.
one thing he could do is declassify everything. You
Yeah.
know, if they want to play hardball, they don't want to help him, declassify everything. And you'll see him shaking their boots, because now with him declassifying everything and nothing's redacted, he's exposing them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the
can do
JK
that.
files.
Yep, he can do that. Just shake up the whole system.
Here you go.
Like, where you going? Come back here. Come back.
I'm a tough guy. Now you want to
Come
run.
back. Why you running? Come on. Like, no. Yeah, I didn't want to go. Let him go. What do you mean let him go? Why let him go? Didn't he want to get... Come on. Okay, look. I equate these people, I keep saying it, to those dogs behind a fence.
Man.
All right? And then there's a gap in the fence and they're like, I wasn't doing anything. And then another...
I didn't do nothing wrong.
They know they're going to get kicked. This is going to be an interesting year. I still stand by my prediction.
Mhm.
Just remember, I said it before Roseanne Barr did. I said it before Steven Crowder did. I said it long before anybody else on any platform on YouTube. And I have proof on video that I did going back easily 2 years ago, saying that 2024 will never take place.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were here
School's
for
almost out, guys.
I said that. So we'll see if I'm right. I'm still saying I'm pretty sure I'm 100% right on this, that 2024 will happen in a specific way, meaning it will not happen. You're going to see that they shut things down so you can't go, or they'll find a way to make sure the person that you actually want on there will not be on there.
Yeah, and just look at the climate right now, especially this close to the election. You remember in 2020 to 2016, the amount of stuff we've seen about the presidential election, commercials, and this politician, vote for me, just everywhere. Now you turn on TV and you rarely even see anything. You might see a Biden anti-Trump commercial pop up on YouTube. You might see a Trump commercial, but you're not seeing the push for this election like you've did before.
Nope.
They're barely talking about a debate. They're just barely talking about a debate. That should tell you something, like Marlon said. They know
everybody knows he's not going to win. Like, Biden's not going to win.
And every time they talk about it and about the deficit he's behind by Biden, I mean, they say it real quick and then they shut up and they come to a but. If such and such and such and such happens, if the indictments go through, it'll be almost impossible for the American public to vote for Donald Trump. That's what they run to, because they're trying to make you believe that if he is indicted on anything, he's not eligible anymore, which is a fallacy.
It's not true.
He could literally be in prison. He could be in federal prison behind 15 different doors like Magneto. He would still be eligible to be your president.
Which there has been precedents of people running from behind bars. It happens. Just because he gets if he gets convicted and sent to jail, it doesn't matter. He can still run. He can't vote, but he can run.
He can run.
Yeah.
So either way, they can't stop this. Honestly, they can't stop it by that means. But what they can do is stop the means for it happening.
Yes.
And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to stop the means of it happening. One way or another.
It's gonna be funny. So even if Donald Trump doesn't run, all the people that would have voted for Donald Trump anyway would just go to RFK.
Oh, yeah, well, let's hope that it's a wasted
Yeah, I
vote.
don't know about that.
That's a wasted vote.
No, I'm just saying because like RFK is doing better than Biden.
Well,
and he would do
everyone's doing better than Biden.
Yeah.
The only thing not doing better than Biden right now are my socks, and that's only because I haven't put them in the race.
Look, if this election, if Trump's not, I'm not even voting.
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah, I'm not voting.
Yeah.
RFK is not getting my vote.
I look, I like I said, I honestly don't think it'll matter anyway. But it's a matter of time at this point. You see the amount of people throwing their support behind Donald Trump right now. People that you never thought. Michael Rappaport said he's gonna vote for him, and he hates Donald Trump, but he also hates Biden more because Biden's an idiot. So I mean, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne say he go like all these crazy things are happening, and more people are gonna start seeing that the left is gonna realize we can't let this happen.
Yeah.
Because if this does now, mind you, if it does happen, imagine this: if they don't do anything about it, this will be one of the biggest, and I mean biggest blowouts ever in American history.
It will.
We are talking about Biden may not even make 20% of the votes.
I don't think so.
If they allow it, he may not make 20% of that vote. And they cannot afford for that disaster to happen because all of their tricks are going to fall apart and they can't afford it. Now, here's the thing. If he does end up winning, if they do have it, and say I'm wrong, you have now the option of making sure that when the primaries come up for these sub seats in the House and in the Senate, you get to take your vote somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Now again,
that's where they're going to try to get it.
That's an if. That's an if. So
if they can't focus on the presidency, then they'll be focusing on individual races in the Senate and Congress. So that's where you really need to vote.
And here's what I think. Even on that, say it does happen. Perfect world. Trump, they know is going to win. I believe that the uniparty Republicans, the rhinos, would intentionally give their seat up to a Democrat.
Yep.
Intentionally.
They'll vacate. They'll say I quit. They'll say I quit.
Yep.
We're done. I can't work with Trump. So if I can't work with Trump, I'm going to vacate my seat, and I don't have anybody to take my seat. But I do have a Democrat here to make Trump's life a living hell. So I'm going to do that.
Yep.
So I can see it. I could easily see it. But at the same time, I can also see it not being matter. It doesn't matter anyway. And Biden keeps the office. So, and I'll tell you this much. If he does keep the office, there is no America in 2028.
That's right.
Just whatever you think America
you think things are bad now.
Yeah. if you think you're having America, you will not have anything to do with that name come 2028.
But that's always been the goal, though. So
yeah. You're gonna buy sugar for about $25 for a pound. That's not even joking. That's literally what will happen. You'll become Cuba. Because that's their goal. That's their goal, is to implement the whole idea of the socialist idea. And when socialism hits, goodbye Roman Empire. So Monday we'll be back, and I'm pretty sure we'll have a pretty hot take on what's happening over the weekend, because I can almost guarantee you these campus riots are going to turn into government location riots, and you're going to see some really crazy stuff happening by Monday.
But they're mostly peaceful. It's fine.
Mostly peaceful fire. It's a non-burning fire.
Yes.
It's a cool fire, like cold stone fires.
I mean, May Day happened yesterday, and they only lit 15 police cars on fire. No big deal.
Only 15? That's
only 15.
That's pretty good. I mean,
There's still a 5 in there, so I guess, May 5th.
Tomorrow's the 4th of May, though. Don't forget, May the 4th be with you.
May the 5th be with you, too. Just don't drink on the 5th.
Yeah, single.
Don't drink a 5th on the 5th. Please don't do that. That's bad for you.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, that's very mucho bado. That's my Spanish for the day. Mucho bado. So we'll catch you guys on Monday. Our Rumble event hopefully will be next Saturday. And make sure you get ready for that, because I know I personally have one that's going to really gross you out, but I think it's essential that people see. Okay, it will gross you out. All right. I'm sorry to tell you, it will. Very much so. But we'll catch up then. Is the hooch on Tuesday?
Should be. We will
What's
see how things
Tuesday?
go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll announce that Monday, so you guys can be ready.
Mhm.
Until then, we'll catch up with you guys at a later date. Please make sure that you go and share all of our videos over the weekend, especially this one, and you want to expose people for corruption. This is a great one because we actually brought receipts. They don't like that. People really hate receipts. Make sure you share that out so they can't dispute it. And we'll catch you guys on Monday. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys then. Peace.